Welcome, everybody, to the Janelle King Show. I'm Janelle King, and this is where we have discussions around kitchen table topics that are typically banned from family gatherings, but are absolutely necessary in order to have a strong republic. And today, we're going to be talking to a candidate here in Georgia who let me tell you, okay, I started following her because I think you hit me up, or you commented, or you liked something, and it triggered it. And I said, "Oh, who's this?" Right? So I looked and I saw your page and I saw that you were running, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I am interviewing Cassaundra Burks, and am I saying that right?
It's Cassaundra Burks with the S.
Cassaundra Burks. And I want to make sure I got that right, because at first, for some reason, I was saying Cassandra in my head, and I'm like, no, Janelle, don't.
My grandmother called me Cassandra for like most of my life, and she still will do it to this day, so it's okay.
That's like my husband's name is Kelvin, but I promise you, family members call him Kevin. It's the hilarious thing.
It's inevitable sometimes, right?
It is. But no, I'm going to dive into it. I'm not going to talk as much. I want this to be about you. And the purpose of this is that I want to introduce her to you all that's watching and listening, because local races matter. And I personally believe that there is something to ensuring that we create a platform and an opportunity to highlight these voices, because without it, you don't know who you're voting for. Mm-hmm. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. Cassaundra, welcome to the Janelle King Show. Can you start by telling us if you're a native of Georgia, like where were you born and what was your upbringing like?
Okay. I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I actually moved to Georgia when I was 4 years old. And I moved with my grandmother. Now, I've lived some of everywhere: Arizona, New Mexico, different places, even in Mexico. But I found my way in my home back to Georgia several times. One, my grandmother's located here. My father's located here, and some other family members. But I grew up Jehovah's Witness. So my background was a little bit different from a lot of people. So like when they say you have to campaign and go out and knock doors. Well, I grew up knocking doors just for a different reason. But, I kind of grew up doing that.
That's a good point. That was some good exercise into this world.
I'm telling you, my cat must have me later, not right now. But so anyway, I grew up there, and my grandmother lived in a town called Clayton County. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Clayton County, actually, during that time when I moved here, was so great. I mean, it was clean. Everything was well kept. I was like, wow, and I love being in that place. But shortly after moving away and then moving back here, there was a sheriff, Victor Hill, who had gotten elected. And then slowly, as I lived with my grandma and she enrolled me in school, and I saw different things, I saw that people who looked like me started to move into the neighborhoods in a surplus amount. And that brought in certain things. I'm not sure if that's the actual cause of it or was mismanagement, whatever. During that time, it brought in a lot of crime. Crime elevated, the properties, the equity, all of that lowered, the value of different assets in the area lowered, eventually to the point where gentrification, degentrification, those things happen. And I saw it, I witnessed it. And so when I moved here in Douglasville, somewhat odd 5 years ago, what was important for me is some of the things that I was seeing from my upbringing. And I know you asked your question, so I'm going to answer that. I'll
you're good. You're good. This is your interview. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll get my questions in.
Okay. So it was actually, during that time, and I saw these things changing. So I moved here and I see different things. I see that there is, we're in a little bit of a degentrification area here. And I'm seeing different things on the news as far as indictments, and it's just a lot going on in my county. So I said, listen, I have one or two options. I can ignore it and act like it's not happening, or I could do something about it. And when I decided, listen, I'm going to be the one to do something about it. But it wasn't on my own recognizance in the beginning. I was asked to run for office. They were telling me, listen, you are what we need. We need fresh faces. We need entrepreneurs. We need people who aren't afraid to speak to people who aren't afraid to be opposed, because everybody's not going to think like you, and they don't have to. But we can all come together on some things and understand that in the fight for survival, this is it. This is where we need to be.
Right. No, you're 100% correct. I love that. What would you say were some of your early influences or mentors that kind of shaped your view and approach? Because you're running as a Republican. So how did you get there? Were you raised Republican?
No, Jehovah's Witnesses have no interactions with the government whatsoever. That's not what they believed. So I was not raised anywhere around politics, had no background backing in politics whatsoever. But there are a few things about myself that I thought would make me a great candidate. One is I have an inability to hate. You could do me however wrong and I still will find that piece of you that just needs to be loved and love it. You see what I'm saying? And so what I've been inspired by is the Bible. I've been inspired by God. I've been inspired by, a lot of people won't say this, Jesus Christ, humility, being humble. Some people don't want to be humble because it feels like it puts them below you. But it's nothing to me to say, I hope you have a blessed day. How are you doing today? Hold a door for you. Those things like that what did they say? Chivalry is dead. Things like that, nobody's holding doors anymore. Nobody cares. No, I care. And there are a lot of people like me who care. And so those people, as I met them, may not be a big celebrity, but those people, as I met them throughout my walk in life, those are people who inspired me.
I think that's amazing. You know what's so interesting is that when I'm listening to you, I wasn't raised a Jehovah's Witness, but we kept the Sabbath, and we were, and then my parents are Hebrew Israelites. So we were raised and at the time I can't say I was officially raised as a Hebrew Israelite the way in which they are, because I was more raised on the Pentecostal, but we kept the Sabbath. It was just really convoluted, right? But the nucleus was Jesus, and we love the Lord, and they still do. And so but that allowed me to also be raised in an apolitical home. So I had no allegiance. And so when I came into politics, it was fresh, brand new, just like you. So that was exciting to hear that, because you don't really meet people who have that apolitical background. I think that helps a lot. Do you feel like that shapes how you look at politics? Thank you so much for joining the show. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload new content. Now back to the discussion.
I definitely do. I think it gives me a different perspective. Have you ever heard a singer before who just thought they could sing like, they're always singing, but to other people, it may not sound so harmonious, right? And so I think from my perspective of not having that background, I've been able to come in and see certain things. I was asked to campaign manage for some people. Some people won, some people lost. I saw things within those campaigns. I saw different things, but my personal background, my upbringing, and my patience allowed me to say, okay, this is this, or okay, this is that. This is only happening because of this. So I think it gave me more insight into things, if anything else. It definitely didn't give me the one up on anyone, so to speak, because a lot of people do feel entitled. They have, and I'm writing a book right now called Running from Office, but a lot of people feel entitled to these positions, and it's very in an arrogant way. But what they don't realize is they disassociate themselves from the people or the voters by doing that. And so I always wanted to check myself, no matter how much information I gain or what I learn behind the scenes, things like that, and make sure that it meets the voter and it's meeting their needs. Because ultimately, it's not about Cassaundra's agenda. It's not about Janelle's agenda. It's about the voters, the people as a whole.
Right. 100%. Before we go deeper into your race, let's touch on what do you think about the state of the country politically as a whole, right? It's so funny. I was in the hair salon, and I call it, that's my Zen place, because I don't want to talk a whole lot of politics because it gets a little tricky. And, our hair salon, that is our spot, right? Particularly for Black girls. Right. And so, and I love my hairstylist, by the way. Hey, Destiny. But, and while we were there, a girl asked, she said, what do y'all think about this election, right? Like, are we going to support Trump? No. She said, what do you think about Project 25? And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to talk about it because
okay,
I don't want to talk about it, but I want to know what you think.
Okay, so
I'm not about Project 25, but
okay, I'm going to say Trump has Agenda 47. Okay. And I hear this all the time. He's going to do this. Who told you that? Was it the Democrats? And listen, let me tell you something. When you want to find out something about an individual, you don't go to their enemy and ask them about that individual if you want to know the truth, because little to no time, you're going to get that truth. The truth of the matter is there's an Agenda 47. And that is the agenda that President Trump is going to go by. Now, I saw the debate, as well as a lot of other Americans. If they haven't, I strongly encourage you before voting to go and watch it. But it's, to me, was stressful. It was stressful and kind of cringe. And it was definitely giving cringe. And the reason why is because Joe Biden, anyone who has a heart and can look at him and say, listen, this man does not need to be right here. Okay. He needs to be somewhere being cared for. And now the backstory about Jill, and a lot of people don't acknowledge this, is that Jill was actually the caretaker for their children, and then when his wife passed, they got married. And so that was actually a person who was around the Bidens for a very long time. And so, and now she's urging him to continue amidst a decline in his own cognizance, to continue to promote his agenda, and it just doesn't work. Okay, these are old agendas that need to be recycled, that did not work the last term. They're not going to work this term. It just does not work. And I understand that a lot of people, especially Democrats, want to hold on to this race thing. But listen, obviously there are Black Republicans, highly favored. We're not going to sit here and act like, because I'm Black, I'm at a disadvantage if I don't vote Democrat. That is not the case. I didn't vote Democrat this last term, and I definitely and there are some things that I see benefit from in the local elections from having those Republican representatives. And I think we have to think about our economy. We have to think about the nature of survival. See, one thing about it is a lot of Democrats like to throw in this abortion thing. Oh, the abortion. Oh, it's the end for me. Self-autonomy. Okay, let's talk about some things here. Our country needs to thrive. And not many people will go on the line and say what I'm about to say, but our country needs to thrive. We have the life expectancy for most Americans is age 77. Okay. When you compare us to all the other countries, even some that we may not care so much for, but we work with them, right? Even those particular countries live in the 88, live in the 90. You understand? And so we have to, exactly. And what we have to understand is we have a system. America has a system. And in order for the system to continue to run, what do we need? Input, output, right? By individuals. So if our life expectancy is 77 years old and we're knocking ourselves out amidst of all the other people who are dying from health issues and things like that, then we are only taking ourselves on a backward decline of having proper representation, of having payments into Social Security, of being able to thrive as a country. And so I understand a whole heap about wanting to not put yourself at risk. I have a daughter. My daughter has autism. She was born at 21 years old. I was told not to have her because we would both die. My personal decision is I felt her kick. I can't do that. Now, I'm not going to say that what works for me is going to work for someone else. Okay. And I'm not God. I believe that God is the one who is going to judge at the end of the day. But there are certain things that we have to protect, and that is our civilization. So when it comes to saying, will you vote for this in order to prolong our citizenship, our country, our stature here in America, our financial equity here. Yes, I will vote for that each and every time, because what that does is that gives my family an opportunity, my children an opportunity to grow up here and be able to possibly have the American dream. So as long as they work for it.
Right.
But if we take ourselves away and disassociate ourselves from what's really natural and what's really going to help us live. This is all this is. This is a fight to live. All these laws, all these different jurisdictions, all this is a fight for different people who believe this will work, this will work, this will work, but to live, to survive.
Right. No, you made so many great points. Oh my gosh. And it's funny, I have questions and notes, but the conversation is so organic because you're saying things that are really triggering other thoughts. Like, let's talk about this abortion topic, right? Because this is something that I believe as Republicans, we're failing because this is just my personal opinion. I feel like the church is the church and the government is the government. Do I think that if there's a blending? Yeah, there is a blending because the Bible says when the righteous are in rule, the people rejoice. So, and when David was in rule, Solomon, I mean, there's so many kings that love the Lord. So yes, you should be a believer and in leadership. That being said, it's not our job to create moral law through the government because then we're looking like Saudi Arabia. Because if you want to look at other countries that are utilizing this more, using religion to govern, that becomes a problem. So I think it's a fine line that you have to walk. So when it comes to abortion, we advocated for it to go. The Supreme Court sent it back to the states. Do you think it should go back to the federal government and become a federal ban on abortion?
Absolutely not. And I don't know if you agree with this, but absolutely not. I think it should be at the discretion of the states. Reason being is we don't want to constantly go to, I call them Big Daddy. We don't want to constantly go to Big Daddy and ask him for things, because what we do is every time we go to Big Daddy and ask him for things and we walk on our way back home, we're bringing a trail with us from Big Daddy. Okay, believe that. But we need to learn how to sustain. Okay, as states, we need to learn how to be able to govern ourselves because, like I said, the IRS, the CIA, the surveillance, just in 14 counties in the state of Georgia with all these speed traps nearest to schools, they were sending out wrongful tickets to individuals stating that they were speeding because the tickets, the lights were turned on during the time when school wasn't in, okay? And you're supposed to drive a certain speed. Well, what they found out about these cameras were picking up information and sending it to law enforcement, and that law enforcement would, without probable cause, dig in, find out different things, but it was all because of the surveillance. So they were doing different things like, I know one of the companies is being sued right now, and a few other individuals are suing the state as well for that. But who's fighting for that? Who's fighting for that? And the Democrats signed this into law. They signed this into law. And I have a video of it up on my website and also on my social media platforms, but they signed this into law. And then years later, now they're saying, oh, what did we do? You understand? So we need people who will go in and are not afraid to say, you know what? This doesn't look right. I'm not going to sign for that. This is not all right. And that's what I think a lot of our constituents, Republican constituents, are able to do and bring to the table because we've been outcast so much by a lot of different, we have no other option but to stand up and speak the truth.
Yes. Yes. No, you're 100% correct. I agree. No, I was just agreeing with you, but I am flowing with you. Okay. I really am, because I feel like, for one, we don't have these conversations enough where we're being honest. I haven't gotten backlash for taking the similar stance on the abortion topic either. So I think that's strong. We send it to the states, let the states handle it. Right. Okay. Now.
Oh, wait, hold on. So sorry, before you say that, I do want to say something about that. Send it to the states. And it's like that with the other things, like the DI, all of that, because women and family, people are traveling to the Dominican Republic. I mean, from the same Democrat areas, some of them from lower income neighborhoods, and they are finding resources to be able to go and get enhancements. So if they can do that, you understand, in trouble, I think we can prioritize certain things here.
That's a great point. It's interesting to me that we do create this environment where we're seeing a lot of people leaving the country to go do things, but then there's no connection. And I think, so there was a video, I don't know if you saw it, but a little video went viral where a girl went to another country and she got like some health procedures done for like $800. And I thought that was pretty fascinating because they were comparing it to America and how expensive things are. So to your point, there are stuff that we could be working on right now that people need right this moment. And if you don't put yourself in the position where you're actually working for the people, then it's not going to happen. You're going to be working for whatever cause the big person says we should be talking about.
Now, I'll tell you one more thing. We have the highest or the lowest longevity in living, 77 years old comparison to the world, right? But we also spend the most in healthcare. And what is it for? If we really prioritized, we can progress our lives, but also lower those costs to where, as a state, as cities, we have more money to flow. Georgia just lost over 1,000 different. Are you familiar with what happened with Marketplace, the healthcare marketplace? We lost insurers. We lost some of our biggest insurers who were willing, not only some of our biggest insurers, but these insurers were willing to pay top dollar for certain procedures if you needed to go to the doctor or the ER, not urgent care, and they're gone. So we've really got to prioritize as a state. I understand what's going on in California, New York, but we have to keep it home here. And because before we can help anywhere else, we have to take care of here.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about your race. Tell me about your district. Give me the breakdown, like the demographic breakdown and economic breakdown of your district.
Okay.
And what is it? Like, explain it to people that never heard or don't know you at all.
Okay. So I am running for Georgia State House Representative out in District 64, and that is in Douglasville, Georgia. The whole portion of that district is in Douglasville. And it's kind of, like I said, we're in the middle of degentrification right now. And I say we're about 3 years into degentrification. We got another 2 years, according to statistics, before it's all completely degentrified. Then we have, 2 to 7 year upheaval of going back into gentrification. So the demographic degentrification. Okay. Okay. So basically, when you have individuals who are property owners, who are quote unquote a little bit more wealthier than your middle class citizens, and they come in and they own properties and assets and they kind of help the economy in that local government flourish, those individuals are considered to be gentrified. Now, what we as most African Americans associated with there's a slew of Caucasians or white people who are coming in or leaving. But what it are those resources. And we also, I'm going to touch on this, but we also have to remember in the state of Georgia, generational wealth for the average Black person does not exist. All right, we have immigrants who are over here in our state who have came and built generational wealth for their families, whereas for the majority, we're just not it. Okay, and so that there's a mixed demographic right here, right now, that's slowly being pushed out.
Right. Okay. So, and in your district, you're going through degentrification, which is the reverse. I'm assuming that's happening, right?
It's the removal of, the asset owners, property owners, the business owners who are supplying the local governance with jobs. Our community members, they're coming in and creating those jobs. They're leaving now. And,
no, go ahead, continue. I have a question about that, but.
Okay. As I said, they're leaving now. And, that is important for a community to thrive because our monies for that city is coming from there. Otherwise, we'd be dependent on the state and on Fed to run our city. So it's deep.
So I'm assuming that was a defining moment for you. What would you say was the defining moment that helped you decide to run for office?
Well, I was asked from a few people to run for office. My local party asked me to run. A few people in it asked me to run. And I was also seeing different things because I sit on the board right now. If I win, I won't sit on that board any longer, but I sit on that board. And so my thing is helping find candidates of minority descent and getting them to run. So we have what's called out here campaign cultured. And so we've been focused on, reaching these people who think like us, because there are a lot of people who are Republican, who value family and may not be married, don't have to be married, may not have had a daughter or son a day in their life, and may even be a member of the LGBTQ community, but they see what's going on and they're tired of it. They're flat out tired and they're tired of the lies. More so know in specific in my district, a lot of people are tired, voters are tired of what's going on down at our city capital. Now, what's happening are the indictments have been flooding down. This has been ongoing for years, the indictments, and these are Democrats, okay? And so people are saying, listen, money.
Explain the indictments.
Okay, well, we have some commissioners who had been indicted out here. Some had been removed and some had been replaced or newly appointed out here. And so the thing that had gone on previously with that it's been affecting us as a whole, as a community. Okay, regardless of if we say it or not, it's always that big elephant in the room, from what's been happening. We need people to come in who are no longer trying to be politicians, but people who are trying to be themselves and offer what they have to give to that position and that seat. We don't need a savior because we have a savior. We need people who are capable of representing us and being an advocate for people in our community.
I love that. I love that so much because I do think that we're forgetting who works for who. It's too. To me, I feel like politics is turning into this like celebrity thing where it's like all the elected officials get all the attention, all the time, the best parking spaces, the best everything. And then the people gotta like walk through the sun, gotta get, it's like a struggle. It's difficult to get anything passed, difficult to get anything done. And so I'm with you. I share that. I feel like we are too focused on the other end and not on the people. So,
and a lot of that causes the shutdowns too. Think about all the shuts down we have from fed level to state level. What happens is when you get a group of people together and you have so much personality that is just fighting to be the top, you can't agree on anything. And then what happens on taxpayer dollar, things get shut down. And so we don't need that. We don't need the celebrity persona. We need let's come together, let's work on policy. Let's do what we are supposed to do while we're in these offices and not try to add our own twist to this because our Constitution doesn't allow room for that.
That's 100% correct. All right, we're going to jump into your platform items a little bit. So you stated that Georgia legislators are they want to reclassify independent contractors as wage workers. Explain what's happening, because I've heard that one other time, but this would be a great time to explain that.
Okay. So what's happening, and what I can do is I can also post some of that information on my website so people can see it. But so what's happening are they want to reclassify the way we do business. I don't know if you guys remember, but years ago, you used to be able to just use your social security number and bam, sole proprietorship was widely accepted. Nowadays, on a scale, most people want to see you have an LLC. They don't want to hear that you have a sole proprietorship, correct? Okay, so with that coming in, ushered in some new things, some new laws. Now, the state of Georgia does not like crime. We don't like crime and we don't like criminals. And so one thing that they were trying to also do was eliminate crime by being able to track or trace what's going on back to accounts and make sure no money was being laundered through small businesses. But in doing so, they did some reclassifications and they've been working to make it to where small businesses who have quote unquote independent contractors will have to claim waged workers. Now, I know that every time you have an employee and you go to that Department of Labor website and you add that employee, you are going to have to pay taxes on that employee. And so what they're doing are creating more liabilities for our small businesses. And now check this out. And this is the reason why I really wish people would tune into this, because like I just told you about that information with the African-American descent in Georgia, not having a majority that hold generational wealth here. Whereas we have a lot of immigrants who have came in within the last 5 years, became almost billionaires within our own state, right? And so the issue here that comes in is that these individuals are not able to make money, thrive, stay in business. Why? Because if you're a small business owner, you just came out and opened up, and most people don't have a loan. And if you were thinking about getting a loan, just looking at the economy, you might not get that now. So this is of grave concern. How much capital will I have to raise in order to thrive now here in this state if I also have to have the liability of having waged workers. And so that's why I'm against that. You know, I understand money laundering, I get it, but this is unfortunately in this scenario, we have to do like doctors do. You know, they prescribe you medications, it is all these side effects that could possibly happen, but they say, listen, it's a greater benefit to you if I prescribe you this medication. Right now, we have to do that. It's a greater benefit for those Democrats, regardless of how they feel right now. I understand it's hard to tuck in the ego, to vote Republican, because this is going to help us 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, our state, and not just our state, locally.
Thank you so much for joining the show. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload new content. Now back to the discussion.
This is intriguing because when my husband started our business, he started it in a bedroom, made enough money in a year, and he moved to the basement. But the first employee he hired that employee, but then he hired a contractor because you got to bring in money and revenue in order to pay employees. And then if you said it hits your taxes, it's a whole other thing. So if he had to label his contractor as an employee and he looked like he had 2 employees, that would have been a hit financially. And he's doing a startup. He had no loans, no, he saved his own money, no other partners. So when you're a business owner starting from scratch, you need every advantage you can get in order to keep your revenue. So I'm glad you're tackling that issue. I think it's an issue that is one that's being overlooked, which makes it even better for you to be a part of that. So let's keep talking about finances. What specific tax reform do you propose to prevent overtaxation in the future? Because you mentioned on your platform that Georgia residents are being overpaid in taxes on various assets. Can you explain that and what your solution would be?
I believe in rebates. Okay. Now, I'm not saying we bankrupt our state. That's not the idea that I have. I believe that there are monies that we have out there. Most individuals, not saying every individual, but you have cars, right? You go and you get your tags, right? You, for those property owners, right? We have all these different individuals who pay into a system, and this system has a way, loopholes, and for me to just say, for one, I would be excluding some, but I'm just laying down the scenario for you here. There are a lot of different loopholes in being able to access those funds. So I'm thinking rebates, okay? When we come and get our taxes back, like we just did, Kimberly knew she just moved from District 64 and when we got redistricted. But one thing that she did that I totally admire, and by the way, I am endorsed by her, but one thing I totally admire are the rebates. You understand? And those things can be allocated and sent back to us. Now, like I said, I'm not in for what is it called? Bankrupting our state. I don't want to do that. I don't think that we should just go out freely giving money here, there, and there. Though I've done it personally. I've gone and I've hosted events at the libraries, and I've paid for people to get business licenses from an initiative that I've done from my own heart. But I have that likeness to do that as an individual. However, as someone who is managing or, having some input on how the state spend money, I don't think that would be the way to do it. You understand? I think right, because one, you would leave too many people out. Two, it would be too costly, too much of a resource. When we can show you, when you can learn, when there could be better ways for people who would like to come in business. If you open your business within the first day, let's say you have an incentive to go back to school and learn business. We need savvy people who need to understand things. So those different things, and then you could maybe write it off on your taxes. That has to be worked out. I'll work with a team. We'll get it worked out. But those are the plans. The same similar set of governances that Kimberly New did to make sure that we got our monies back. That's the step that I want to follow because it worked. And I saw it. I saw it for myself, and I saw it for a few other individuals in my community. And those rebates helped us. You can take and start new businesses, help other people. Like you said, the church is supposed to be making sure that these homeless individuals, why? Because it's set up like that. A lot of people, you say that and they don't understand why. And they say, oh, I don't believe in the church. No, okay, well, that's fine. But you don't understand that they are receiving so many, just loopholes and
tax breaks
for you to be able to do this, that you need to, if you're hungry, go there and get a loaf of bread, and so that is what we need to do. We need to start relying on the organizations who are registered with the state, with the Fed, to carry out the duties that they said that they would do, and not holding them accountable is a problem and will continue to be a problem for us if we don't start doing it now.
Absolutely. Oh man, you're spot on. I say it all the time that it's the church duty to take care of the poor. It's the church's responsibility. It says it in the Bible. If you believe in the church, then you believe in the Bible, that's what it's supposed to do. And if you're set up shop somewhere in a community that needs help and you're not helping them, that's a problem. You're derelict in your duties. So I'm with you. Like, the government stepped in because the church stepped out. And we've got to do something about that too. But that's a whole other conversation that we
right. But we got to hold these people accountable. But that is a whole nother conversation. And maybe holding them accountable will relinquish some of those funds and send it back to where it needs to be, the people.
Right. Exactly. Like, you're gonna start paying taxes if the community is not showing that it's growing. But anyway,
that's what I'm saying. But okay, we'll talk about that another time.
Right. That's a whole other conversation that I am willing to go to. But anyway, so how do you propose leveraging economic growth in your community while also reducing crime rates? Because you kind of touched on that a little bit before about your district, but what is your plans to help rectify it?
Jobs. We need jobs. We need those jobs to be from the people in our community. We need our economy to thrive. And I'm so passionate about this because it comes right back around to, we have got to take care of our economy. Okay. If we don't take care of our economy, we can't create those jobs. We don't have money to and resources to open those businesses. Okay. It's so many different businesses. And I'm going to mention one, Burks Grill. Love that place. Oh my goodness. I would go there and get so much to eat and just bring it home, put it in my refrigerator and eat it.
What's the name of it?
It was called Burks Grill.
Burks Grill. Okay.
Love the place. But they went out of business. And so I when I went to see that they were closed, I'm looking and the whole plaza is pretty much dead man zone, right? And so, but this should not be. Why should that be when our state just had a surplus of almost $4 million? So why are we, going through these things? What's happening? The commerce in our city, okay? Mismanagement of some funds, because by right, we're supposed to be having people who are in office, commissioners, mayor, all these people working together to bring those resources in, and so we need them. I don't know if they've gotten kind of sidetracked with the what is it called? Indictments, but we need them to focus on making sure they're set up so that we, people like me, in our state house, in our state senate levels, can do the rest of the work. They have to do the groundwork though, because it's nothing if we relinquish and say, you know what, I'm going to argue that the police get a raise and they're able to take care of their uniform costs and, provide and take care of the county. And then we relinquish that and those funds are misused. You see what I'm saying? So it has to be a system of people collectively working together, making sure that it happens. But I'll do my part. And the part that I'll do is by making sure that they have the resources. I want to make sure our city has the resources to flourish. And in order to do that, like I said, we need the people to play their part. When you get these resources, guys, open up some businesses, start whatever it is that you're into, and let's create some businesses. Let's get some people out here and employed. And that's how we're going to raise our value of our property, our value. And then we might not be in the middle of the gentrification anymore. For a minute, things might stay still. We might have mixed neighborhoods. Now, one thing people don't really talk about is those mixed neighborhoods and how they really thrive. And I saw it myself in Connecticut and places like Maryland, different states like that. I've seen what a mixed neighborhood can bring and what it can do and how it can thrive. You see what I'm saying? Now, over the years, things have not been thriving too well out there in those places, but I've seen the community on a local level, get things done, stick together. And that's what I'm rooting for. And that's why I didn't run for a bigger seat. You said, these races don't get as much attention. They don't. And as a result, a lot of people don't run for them, or either the people who run for them are just placed because they're unopposed.
Right.
But that should not be the case. And so that's why I'm so grateful to you.
Yeah, no, I'm grateful to you for even reaching out. And even though she didn't reach out and ask for the interview, she reached out and said, she reached out initially by just liking a post or something like that. I did the research. I saw her and I was like, let's interview, because I thought we were going to get what we're getting. And I got that.
Local, so even if I did ask for the interview, thank you for interviewing me.
I know. No, because there are some that did. I don't
okay.
Yeah, there are some who do. But but either way, it's like, for me, I look at it like, man, I'm intrigued. Like, I don't interview everybody because everybody's not in this game for the right reasons. And that's something that I'm trying to weave that out a little bit, because I don't think it helps us as a whole, as a people. But overall, I wanted to make sure that you were heard. So let's talk about some overarching questions, and then we're going to close with the Would You Rather segment, okay? Which is fun and lighthearted. Okay. But among all of your platform items, which would you consider to be the most urgent, and why?
I have a song on there, and it's if you're Black, we're not voting Democrat just because we're Black. So there's been this thing, like I said, about people thinking that just because I'm a Black woman, that it is in my soul being that I vote Democrat. And that is not the case. That is not the truth, because like I said, we see what the Democrats have done to our economy. And then not only just that, look at the situation with Joe Biden. Did you think they did not know that this was happening? Before a person just jumps up to becoming terminally ill, even with cancer, you don't just jump to stage 4. Yeah. There are levels to it. So I think that they knew what was going to go on, and for whatever reason, they allowed it to happen. And it displaced a lot of people, but they're uncaring about that even yet and still. And you see that with that, it's a race of, this is what I want to happen and not what the people want to happen, because the people are saying, step down, let's find someone else. These policies aren't working. Let's get our economy thriving again. Let's look out for our families. The Black male, have we just forgot about him? Because he's been no one is talking about him.
Right. It's like they've thrown the Black man to the side. Okay. Black men on the Democrat side are only useful for statistics when it comes to crime and policing. Other than that, they don't care.
That's it. And I want to say something about that in the police and the statistics. When you said what I'm going to do in our neighborhoods, what you have to understand, Democrat, because I live in Democrat neighborhood, I'm saying so in our neighborhoods, when individuals go out and commit heinous crimes such as robbery, murder, theft, even RAPE, okay, when they commit these crimes, they are given slap on the wrist and sent back out into the community. Now, here's one thing that people don't realize. They're not sending them over to their community. They're sending them back to your community. They have just given an individual who is maybe suffering from some sort of mental incapacity, drug addiction, something, whatever, committed a heinous crime, a slap on the wrist, and sending them back to your neighborhoods and telling you to deal with it, and then offering you lesser response times from your police officers. So what we really need to think about what we're doing here. I understand that some people are good people. We absolutely love them, but the policies just do not work.
We can no longer vote for people that we think are good people. And to your point, when you were talking about Joe Biden, the question that's been in my mind is why are the voters acting like they just now see it? Like, I'm confused about that. I'm like, we
running for office.
I know. I'm like, we've been seeing this for how long? Like, why is it now that it seems like you are just now starting to see this? Like, I have Democrat friends who was advocating for Joe Biden 3 weeks ago, telling me he's fine. And now 3 weeks later, they're like, well, clearly he has an issue. And I'm just like, he's not doing anything that we hadn't seen from the last year. Okay. Like, he has been declining over time since the moment he's been put back in office. So if you're telling me you're just now seeing it, that's a problem, because I feel like it's up to us as voters to take responsibility for our own decisions. Each candidate is there because of us. Yeah. So that being said, all right, you're going to be one.
Say something really quickly to that. Yeah. I have to add this onto there. It's very important people understand this. This is the mentality of the Democrat. Okay, this is what I've seen. I've lived, like I said, all over the U.S. and in some other countries. But this is what I've seen when it comes to our Democrat counterparts.
Thank you so much for joining the show. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload new content. Now back to the discussion.
They don't want you to be successful. Everybody start off equal. You get success. Once you become successful, what do they want you to do? Go shop where? Outside of your neighborhood in expensive clothing. Go buy expensive cars. Go get expensive property in most cities, most Democratic cities outside of your neighborhood. Spend your money outside and then come back to the people in your neighborhood. Show them you got it, because that's how you show them that you're really successful. That is the mentality. And right now we're seeing that these Democrats who are running right now, they are portraying on us emotion and less of logic. Okay, right. I feel like we are arguing for how to project our country. How do we sustain? Okay, how do we move forward? And these people, oh no, this is my emotion. This is my emotion. But this is one thing and this is why I'm a mental health advocate as well, is because every 1 in 3 individuals that you meet is suffering from a mental instability based on statistics. Now, it didn't say that they had been diagnosed with a mental, it said that they are suffering mentally, okay? For whatever reason, finances, whatever struggles, okay? And then it says that we have doctors who are advocating for this, doctors who are advocating for this, for these young children to be like this. But it didn't tell us at no one point in time that 1 in 3 persons who are suffering weren't going to be politicians, weren't going to be doctors, weren't going to be lawyers, or these influential people. That's why we have to use our own mind and our own selves to perceive and understand and stop being told things and believing that information. There's declassified information, there's classified information. That's all I'm
saying. You're absolutely right. I love it. Okay. Would you say that that the state of your district is in a position where they are in desperate need of new leadership? Or do you feel like there needs to be more of a working together when it comes to leadership? Or do you need to be an overall?
I think that in the state that we are in right now needs new leadership. Obviously, these individuals are mixed up. You know, they are commingling different things, and the agenda is being spread around to these individuals. And my concern are if it's so much corruption from that party that several members are being removed in different things, maybe we need to try something else. We need new faces. We need Republicans in office. We need to fix the state of the economy out here. I'm not being biased. You know, I believe that even if I weren't Republican and I were Jehovah's Witness, I might have Republican, you know, because that's what's going to help everybody, you know.
As one vote, how do you plan to work with everyone and under the dome to get these things done? Like, what's going to be your approach or your strategy?
Well, my strategy is I'm humble. I can take a lot. So I'll take a lot to get to what my people need. Let's just say that, you know, and I think that my upbringing has definitely gave me the resilience to be able to do that. I don't mind speaking to whomever, whatever, about whatever. I don't mind waiting on call. I'll wait on hold for 24 hours if I need to make sure that my people get what they need. You understand that? Let's set up a meeting. I'll have people working with me, but I plan to do all that work, most of the work myself, because I don't mind going, driving down to the Capitol, walking up there, having meetings, checking on the SB, HB bills that are being passed, reading them, 80-something pages. I will read all of those pages. You understand me? And take notes. So I think we need people who are willing to be servants of the people and not just be out here trying to look great. Now, you know, I like to look good. That's nice. But I like to work. Okay. I like to work while I look good. So I think we need people like that who don't mind getting their hands dirty and their feet wet and being true servants. Because that's what people don't want to say it, call it what it is. Be a true servant of the people.
Right. Like that goes back to the thing I say all the time. It's like, who's working for who? You know, like, let's just make sure we're focusing on that. All right. Now the fun stuff. I love this. My mom actually loves this segment of this show. So I do this for her probably more than anybody else, because I know she's always like, when are you gonna get to the would you rather? Like, she feels like that helps her to really understand the person after hearing all of your positions. So these are lighthearted questions. We ask that you not explain why you've selected a certain topic or a certain answer, because it just makes it more fun. And but I'm just gonna ask you, like, would you rather do this or this? And you just tell me which one you prefer. All right? Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Would you rather be remembered for your accomplishments in your professional life, or for the positive impact you made in your personal relationships?
I think for the positive impact I made in my personal relationships. You said don't explain?
No, you can't explain. But you know what? I'm gonna bypass that. I want to hear a little bit. Like I want to hear your thought process on that. So yeah, why would you say personal over professional?
Well, because your personal will help you become the best person that you can be. It's those little conversations and motivations, those little relationships and friendships that help you build who you are and solidify yourself. And I believe if you become that solid individual you're hoping to become, and other people like your friends, your support system recognizes that, then that professional, they will help you. And you can help yourself by simply being who you are. So I think everything starts off personal. You can't do anything for else, kind of like the local thing I was saying. You can't do anything for anyone else until you take care of yourself. You can't go save someone from drowning if you're hungry, if you're fatigued, you know? So certain things we have to take care of ourselves. And that's one of them. That's the reason.
Yeah. I like your explanation. So I'm probably going to be like permitted for the rest of these questions, because even though we typically don't, but anyway, some people have given their explanation anyway. All right. Would you rather have the ability to see 10 years into the future, or be able to change any one decision from your past?
10 years into the future.
Yeah. I'm like
I could not make the mistake, you know, if I knew what was coming. Possibly. You know, there's a lot of people who read astrology and horoscopes all the time and still get it wrong. So who knows? Who knows?
All right. Would you rather have unlimited time but limited money, or unlimited money but limited time?
I want all the time I could get. All the time I could get. I could make the money if I had the time.
Right. That's a great point. Would you rather be known for intelligence and wisdom, or for kindness and compassion?
Kindness and compassion. Because no one always has it together at all times. And so on those times, people will still think of you, you know, as a nincompoop. Yeah. So I'd much rather have that compassion. You know, when you're humble, even the most aggressive person could understand, you know. Oh, she's,
you know what? In this political space, I find myself thinking more about how have I impacted people. I find myself thinking about my first interaction with you. What was it like? Because I've met so many people now throughout the state that it's hard to remember, you know, my first interaction with everyone. So I find myself thinking about that more than I find myself thinking about some like wise saying. So right. I feel the same way. All right. So as we close, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. Oh my God, there's so many topics. There's a couple of interviews I've done that I'm going to definitely do again, because I want to talk to you about specific things that I feel like your perspective is just needed. It's necessary. But that being said, how can people find you, follow you, vote for you? Like, give us everything we need in order to support you.
Okay. Now, in regards to what you said, I would like to come back on your show when it comes nearer to the election time and come back Absolutely. And have a chat with you. But they can reach me at www.burksforgeorgia.com, BURKSFORGEORGIA.com, or on social media. That same social media platformage will be on the website. So all you have to do is just click the little icons, and then it will bring you right on over to my social media accounts.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And what is your last message to voters for this interview? Because you're right. I'm actually going to bring, that's what I was thinking, is like doing this again as we get closer to the election, to November, for you and another candidate that I interviewed. So what is your message to your voters? What do you want them to know about you, and why should they support you?
I want you to know that I am America first, okay? I put my country first. My country definitely comes first because this is where I'm at. This is where I was born. And if America fails, I have nowhere else to rely on. So I am asking and begging you all to please pray before you vote this year. If you don't believe in God, just try it. Just pray before you vote this year. Let's come together. I'm not going to put the idea, I want you to vote for me, of course, but I'm not going to make you vote for me by slandering you, making you feel bad. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. But I want you to consider voting for someone who truly has our best interest, because I live here too, our best interest at stake.
Thank you so much, Cassaundra. This has been amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I'm like, yes, I did again. Like, it's funny. I'll see people and I have an idea of like how knowledgeable, how good, how strong they can be. And I do look for other Black conservatives that are kind of moving around in different spaces to highlight, because there's always this stigma that there's not enough Black people in the Republican Party. And I'm like I have a lot of friends that are Black conservatives. Okay,
I do too. So I'm like, where?
Right.
It's like a whole group of us if we go out. What do you mean? It's not common. You mean the media has not showed you that it's common, but it exists. Yes. We exist. We've existed for years.
Well, you stay tuned, because I am working on something I'm going to invite you to. I think I'm going to do it either at the end of the summer or before the early part of the fall. But either way, it's. I don't want to say it on here. I'll say it after I stop recording, because I don't want anyone to take my idea. But I know it's a great idea, and I want you to participate in it. That being said, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who's watching. I hope you were participating in the comments. If you heard something, if you have questions, or you want to like hear more from Cassaundra, put that in the comments. Like, tell me what you think of this interview. Tell us what you think about her platform items. I mean, as you can see, Cassaundra is a woman that wants to represent the people, but she has to know what your needs are. So drop that in there, particularly if you're in the Douglas County area, in the Douglasville city area, particularly, because that's where your district sits. And that's Georgia, y'all. If you're not in Georgia, you won't get it. Look it up on the map. But
you might not find it yet. I'm not sure if they published all of them for the mass majority of people yet.
That's true. That's true. And it's very rare to see a district that sits solely in the middle of the city. Like, normally it's the pieces of cities. So
the heart of the city.
Really cool. That's awesome. Well, I wish you all the best. I will be in touch. You have a supporter in me, and I have no problem endorsing you. I will talk to our PAC too, as well, as to see about that, as far as endorsing as well, because I just think that we need strong people to represent the community. You represent the community that you have come from, and you understand it. So that, to me, is the best position you can be in, particularly as a voter. When you got somebody who understands you, who lives beside you, who gets you and has the time to do this and represent you, you need to support them. Yeah. It's point blank. Forget about the R or the D. Like, if they're doing a good job, support them. So
I always said if a person got into a car accident and I were going to go help them, I would never stop and first ask them, wait, are you a Republican? Well, you're right. It's a fight for survival, and we have to stick together. Thank you so much, Mrs. King.
Oh, you're so welcome. Call me Janelle, because we are friends.
Oh, I like the Mrs. King, though. It just sounds so imperial.
It's funny. Yeah, I love my last name. I think it's cool. But no, I look forward to having more conversations, bringing you back on, and just furthering this relationship. Any way I can help you, you just let me know. To everyone who's listening, thank you so much. We will be back here. As you know, we'll be posting, and you'll definitely get to meet Cassaundra again if you have not. But make sure you hit that like button, share, comment, do all that good stuff. We love you. Appreciate it.